Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to talk about a modified push-up that you can put into your push-up training to get more core in less time. If you come from military, law enforcement, or CrossFit, your push-ups are part of a burpee, and that changes the way that you do it. We're gonna change the final goal from a burpee to what we call a BEAST push-up to change the way that we're lining up our core. Push-up training should be a part of everybody's athletic training at some point in their life. The longer you do push-ups, the more annoying they can become because they seem very repetitive. If you change the intention behind the push-up program, you can continue to maximize your training with zero equipment. Instead of the goal being to get all the way up off of the ground, our goal is to stay in a loaded plank position, but change the plank from a forward plank to a beast position. This causes the lower back to change shape, and it allows people to learn to engage their core in a different way. If you do any type of grappling art or you engage in combat training, fight training, then this is a push-up you're going to enjoy. We have a new program coming out that's specifically dedicated to this idea, 3 different levels of training, where we take the breakdowns of these exercises, more than we're talking about in this video, and we order them in such a way as to optimize your neurological learning. In order to get really good at something, you take the end goal movement, you break it down into small pieces, you practice those pieces in different metabolic conditioning formats so that you can alter your intensity, your speed, and then that changes the way that your structure, your breathing, and your movement will be affected forever. If you practice something like kettlebells or heavy club swinging, you will notice there's not a lot of chest development because the chest is really a stabilizer in kettlebells and clubs. Chest is really a stabilizer muscle in a lot of things. Ground engagement is the best way to engage your chest. And then by doing a beast push-up, you are forcing the chest and the core to engage at the same time at the same rate. Let's work backwards. We're gonna start with the end movement, show the end movement, and then show base movements leading up to it. The end movement is starting from a beast load position. That means we're gonna start in child's position, hands shoulder width apart, push up width apart. And if you're working on any type of push-up, this hand to foot distance is what you're looking for. So if you're setting up for any type of push-up, this is probably pretty close to where you need to be. Roll your toes underneath, drive your knees off of the ground. This is what we call beast load position. Drive forward, all the way down, drive up, reload, keep your knees off of the ground. Beast load. Right here as you transition through here, this is a beast into plank position. Elbows stay tight, drive all the way back. By doing this end goal position, we're getting rid of any spinal sag. Oftentimes when people are working on a burpee focused push-up, as they do more, their spine starts to round this way, which is fine if the end goal is burpees. But because we're changing our end goal, we're keeping our spine engaged, we're keeping our core engaged by going back into this beast load. We're eliminating spinal sag as much as possible. Child's pose, roll the toes underneath, beast load, drive forward, push up, reload. Drive forward, push up, reload. Drive forward, push up, reload. If you're a fairly well-trained kettlebell athlete or a heavy club athlete, you can probably work on that end goal right away. Most of the population, probably 90% of the population, needs to start at the beginning. The beginning of this movement is called a sliding plank. The goal here is we're gonna keep our nose the same height off of the ground. Our knees are on the ground and we're gonna tuck our elbows in tight. Top of the foot flat on the ground for now, as opposed to toes rolled underneath. Many people cannot start here because their foot doesn't flex, because for the most part, we're a sedentary civilization now. So roll your feet underneath, set up into your child's pose, knees stay on the ground. As we go forward, elbow touches down, slide forward, squeeze the glutes to engage a knee plank and squeeze the elbows super, super tight to the body. Elbow touch, arms straight. Elbow touch, squeeze the glutes. Elbow touch, arms straight. Elbow touch, squeeze the glutes. Draw the belly button towards the spine. get as thin as possible, slide all the way back. Keeping the head the same distance from the ground is really hard in the beginning. You'll see people go up and down because their core isn't engaging through the full range of movement. When people are learning, it tends to look like this. There are these points in the movement, and it's different for different people, where the head is not staying the same distance from the ground. They'll try to float too high, they won't squeeze their glutes. So our goal is squeeze glutes, keep the nose that same distance off of the mat the entire time. That basic sliding plank is gonna be in your training program forever. If you practice any type of Olympic lifting, that is an excellent warm-up. Set a timer for a minute, work on it because it's gonna mobilize your core in your lower back just doing that. The goal is to keep the elbows super tight to the body. If you're doing different types of burpee variations, the elbows can be away from the body. This is all elbows tight to the body. Second version of the sliding plank, we're gonna roll our toes underneath, lift our knees up on the way out, put them down on the way back. Knees down, roll the toes. As we go out, elbow touch, load, straighten the legs, elbow touch, float on the way back. Knees down, elbows down, load, straighten the legs. We're practicing the bottom of the push-up, slide straight back. Elbows touch, slide straight back. Knees up on the way back. Now let's practice the inverse of that. Knees up on the way out, knees down on the way back. Child's pose, roll the toes, push back, load the core, drive the knees up. Elbow touch, load. Practice the bottom of the push-up. Knees down, elbow touch, slide back. Hard on the way forward, easy on the way back. Make it difficult by lifting the knees, forward, down on the way back. Now, hard on the way out, hard on the way back. That means knees up, out, and back. Roll the toes, beast load position, elbow touch, load the bottom, on the way back. Elbow touch, load. Elbow touch, load. Elbow touch, load. We were focusing just on the bottom of the push-up and the core load associated with that. Now let's turn it back into that full beast push-up. Child's pose, roll the toes, load, drive forward, high plank, low plank, high plank, push back. Drive forward, high plank, low plank, high plank, push back, and work your way up. There are a bunch of different versions of push-ups, and you should practice all of them. Think of this as an intermediate level push-up. Normally, people start with a burpee-based push-up. Then you can get into something like this, a beast push-up. High-level push-ups are usually ring-based push-ups, which you have to have more equipment for. The good thing about this push-up is you can redo every push-up program you have ever done with this being the end goal. Your goal is to be able to perform good reps with better technique. This reset at the back constantly is resetting your elbow position, moving you from an elbows out push-up to an elbows super tight push-up, more like a gymnastics push-up than a burpee-based push-up. If you can't do any push-ups or this exercise, then you should focus on kettlebell clean and press with a single kettlebell first, because you can start with an ultra light weight and you can repeat that program with at least 10 weights. Then you can go to double kettlebell clean and press. Then after that, you usually will have all the structure you need to be able to start doing something like a burpees-based push-up program and then a beast-based push-up program. I write programs that I find interesting and useful. All the training that I tell people to do, I know works 100% because it's what took me from having a crippled leg, and when I ripped apart my PCL and my LCL, my meniscus and my popliteus tendon, and I rebuilt the function of my body using all of these different end goal objectives. Push-ups are a fantastic exercise, and you can do just pure push-ups, You can do a bunch of different variations of burpees-based push-ups. You can change the intention behind them forever. The most important thing is that they don't require any equipment and you can do them absolutely anywhere. The most important thing in your training is your consistency.